right now someone is sitting on a brilliant idea, whether that's a book, a business, a song, a film, a video, or whatever, and they'll never share it because they're afraid. Fear is holding them back. It could be fear of judgment, it could be fear of perfectionism, it could be fear of lack of talent, but whatever the fear is, fear will kill more creativity than talent, perfectionism ever will. This video is about breaking free from that fear. Fear often shows up as self-censorship. People think, what if they don't like me? What if my idea doesn't grow? What if I'm not good enough? But the truth is, most people aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. They're too self-absorbed in their own worlds and too busy thinking about their own fear and their own ideas to really worry about yours. They might, pass a comment or have a little thought to themselves, but what does that really matter? Like, we all do that. We all think about each other and we take it in for a moment, but then we quickly move on with the rest of our lives. Like, how often do you dwell on things that other people have done? You spend far more time dwelling on things that you've done. How many times have you obsessed over something and in reality nobody's even really noticed? Perfectionism, another kind of fear, is just fear dressed up. It's just high standards that you're holding to yourself, and more often than not it's a reason to not do something. It's a reason to keep yourself in the same place as you are because you aren't ready, you don't have the perfect idea, the perfect launch, the perfect plan. That's really just holding you back. It's much better to start with something that's only 80% ready and start than wait until something is 100% ready, because that just never happens, and therefore you'll never start. And you could be that person that's just sat there with a brilliant idea and you never start because of the fear. And for that reason, one of the best ways to start is to just start with what you have and just start with what you can do, because the best way to improve is to make many things and many iterations and experiment. Whereas if you just wait for the perfect thing, you're probably never gonna start, and you'll never learn to improve. The place that you start at won't even be the best place in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 months, whatever. So you just have to start, even if you're not ready. I think if something is 70% good, just put it out. You can improve later, and chances are when you put something out at 70%, most people aren't going to see it, or most of the people that you care about seeing it aren't going to see it. So you have plenty of time to get that extra 30% in. But because you've already put it out, you've already started and you're ahead of most people. One of the best examples of this is like little kids and children when they're growing up. Very rarely do you see a little kid overthink about anything. They just try stuff. It could be new foods, it could be new games, it could be any kind of new interaction, new toys or whatever. They just start and they just try things. And yeah, okay, they may not get it right every time when they first try, but it only takes them a couple of minutes, really to pick it up or see someone else doing it and evolve and adapt. But they started. If they were to sit there and spend time planning the perfect way to start, then, well, I don't think any of us would be here. The humanity would have died off a long time ago. And they're a perfect example of how some of the best ideas come from playing. Being creative, getting your hands dirty, getting stuck in, lets you adapt to the environment and lets you adapt to the world as it is in reality. Because things and great ideas and great things aren't made in a sterile environment where you can plan everything, you can control everything. Stuff comes in and completely changes the idea. And the only way you're going to understand that and get the opportunity to be completely changed is by getting stuck in and getting out there. So many filmmakers and so many directors will write a script and they know that the script isn't perfect, but that's fine, because as soon as they start working with actors and they turn on the screens and they turn on the lenses and they get the lights rigged up and everything, something changes. They give the script to an actor and he goes, you think this might be better in this way, and that's how the best films are made. There's never been a perfect film or even a good film that has been made completely in the scripting room. It has to have some adaptation and it has to change. So waiting for that perfectionism is just another form of fear that's holding you back. So if you're afraid to start and afraid to create things, a great exercise you can do is to purposefully make something bad. Take whatever idea it is you've got. Let's say it's for a script, let's say it's for a painting, let's say it's for a recipe. See what you can make in just like 5 minutes with the full intention of throwing it away. Just the act of doing that and getting the ball rolling will teach you so much more than you realize. If it's a painting, let's use painting as an example. If you give yourself 5 minutes to try and paint a landscape, you'll make so many little mistakes, blah, blah, blah. You won't put the trees in the right place. You won't put the hills in the right place. The lighting will be coming from 2 different angles. But in 5 minutes, you'll learn more about the landscape for the next iteration than you will in hours and hours of planning. You'll understand, oh, I put that hill in the wrong place. Next time, I won't do it so high. Why is the sun over there? Why are the trees this color? Why is there rocks here? You know, you will learn so much about what's in front of you and about what you're trying to create through the act of doing it. So one of my tips to get over a creative starting hurdle is to purposefully try and make something bad with the intention of throwing it away. I guarantee you, you will never do that exercise and accidentally make something brilliant. It's so unlikely to happen. But it will get the ball rolling. It will get your thoughts start churning, and it will get you into the act of actually creating. And then the next iteration will be so much better, and the one after that, and the one after that. But just try and purposely make something bad, and say to yourself, this is going to be bad. Like, I'm going to make this purposefully to ridicule myself and to critique myself. That's a very healthy exercise to do, and it fully embodies what I call the so what exercise. Make something, so what? Who cares? Throw it away, doesn't matter, but at least you've got started. You can further amplify this by doing what I call the embarrassment challenge, which is where you create that first bad piece and you share it with a couple of people that you trust, and you ask them to critique it, and ask them to be quite brutal with you and say, hey, I made this painting, I know it's terrible, what do you think is the worst thing about it? What do you think is the best thing about it? And just get some feedback very quickly from people that you trust and people that know that you're on this journey. That will help you get over the hurdle of, one, creating things for the first time, but also receiving criticism. Because that's one of the other big fears that hold so many people back is, what if they don't like me? What if they don't like what I've done? If your closest friends and family can give you some helpful criticism and some helpful feedback, it will go miles in receiving criticism generally, whether that's online or in person or whatever. If you go out and hunt for that criticism, you're doing it on your terms, and it really helps to get over the hurdle of receiving criticism in the future. I think it's a great way to double down on, purposefully you're going to do something bad, you know it's going to be bad, go and ask for some feedback, expecting it to be quite critical and quite, honest. You take that and you take what you've learned from just doing the exercise and starting, and you are on a winning path to overcoming fear and starting to create stuff. And do this whether you're a filmmaker that's been making stuff for 10 years, a brand new artist, whether you've been a professional chef, whatever, it doesn't matter. Do this exercise as often as you can, and it will unlock new doors and new ways of being creative that you've never even experienced before. One of the other tips you'll see a lot online is about just creating as much as possible. You see this a lot on social media where people say, you got to post every day, it's a race to the first 100 videos. Discard your first 100 videos. It's all about learning and getting into the rhythm and creating and building the habit. Whilst that is a very good way to just overcome a creative hurdle, it's not necessarily the best way to overcome the fear of creating. And it really only works in certain situations where quantity is irrelevant. If you're trying to, sculpt a massive sculpture, do not go and buy 100 blocks of marble, spend fortunes, knowing that the first 100 are going to be thrown away. That's absolutely ludicrous. I don't necessarily think that the create the first 100 thing is a great idea. But one of the mindsets that comes with it that I do think is good is that you put into perspective that the haters out there, they don't create anything. If you're creating something, you're already ahead of someone. So the first video you make is already putting you in a stronger place than you were before you created it. 20 videos, you're 20 videos ahead of yourself before you create anything. 50 videos, 100 videos. So I like that angle of comparing yourself 100 videos later or 100 sculptures later than where you were in the first place. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's a very good way to overcome fear hurdles. However, if that's something that works for you, that's great. I'll take it all back. You do whatever it is to keep you creating, keep you being creative, and keep you moving forward in a positive way. The last point I want to talk about is you are going to regret not making things so much more than you will regret making things and them going nowhere. If you've mustered the energy to create something, go through the effort of creating it, whatever that is, and put it out for the world to see, you can't have any regrets really, because you did what you did. As long as you can honestly say that you tried your best and that the thing that you put out was the best that you could do, there's no regret left. There's no space for regret. If, however, you had a fantastic idea and you sat on it and did nothing, you'll carry that regret every day that you don't do something about it. So you're really just battling against your future self and how you want to feel about your creativity. I think that's why it's so important to just do something. Whether it's battling against perfectionism and just getting something out at 70%, whether it's proving that you can do it even if your first iteration is terrible, whether it's getting criticism from friends, or whether it's just racing to get those first 100 things made, whatever path you take to getting it done, you will be in a better place having done it. And I think that's really the biggest takeaway from this video is there's many types of fear, but the biggest fear you're going to have, and the one you can't do anything about, is the fear of regret. Because once the moment's passed, it's passed. Yeah. So get out there, create new things, share new things, ignore the fear, ignore the critics, ignore the haters. The only way you're going to get better is to go out there and do the work and put it into the real world. So yeah, get out there, create, make things. If this video has spoken to you in any way, then yeah, go out and do the creative thing. No excuses. Go and do it. I would love to hear in the comments what it is that you're trying to build, what it is that you're trying to create. And I'd love, if you're willing to share, to hear about any of the fears that are in the way. You can share these things. What is something that you've been afraid to start doing, or something you've been afraid to share, and why? Yeah, so subscribe if you want to learn more about creativity, the mindsets that come with it and that help it flourish, and more about how to break through the fear of creativity and the fear of starting. Until next time.